and happy Wednesday. It is noon here in California, and I am so grateful for those of you who join me live on Wednesday to talk about art, creativity, and my passion, which is surface pattern design. I want to say hello to Shelly. How are you today? It's great to see you. Pauline Riley is here. I appreciate you, Pauline, and I know you're also making sure that I am broadcasting properly from both Facebook and my YouTube channel. And so I'm going to say hello to you in both places, and I appreciate you making sure that everything's working properly. Today's topic is about morning routines or creative rituals, depending on kind of how you like to think about it. And I wrote my blog post about it on Tuesday. And so if you're on my email list, you got my email about it. But I thought I would come on live to just talk about a couple of the benefits that I have found over the years from having a morning routine or a creative ritual. And I would also really love for you to share with me in the comments. Hello, Cynthia. It's great to see you. I would love for you to share in the comments what your either morning ritual is that just helps you get started in the morning, and maybe it does include doing something creative, or what your creative ritual is, if you actually have one, because there are huge benefits from leaning into your creativity. And I don't know about you, but I think we're living in very interesting times. And there's a lot of noise, right? There's a lot of noise online. There's a lot of news on TV, a lot of noise on TV. There's actually kind of a lot of exterior kind of drama happening all the time. And having a morning routine and a creative ritual to lean into is a great way for you to focus your attention on something that brings you joy. And I actually discovered Tony Robbins fairly late in my life. When I had my corporate job, I'd never heard of him. But once I started to learn about online businesses and how important your mindset is to your success in business, especially literally anywhere, but especially online, for me as a beginner, one of the things that really struck a chord with me was this expression that Tony uses that's called, what you focus on is how you feel. And I actually really leaned into this during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, when we were all locked down, it was another just complete situation we'd never been through before, right? We'd never had to experience isolation. We'd never had to experience learning how to communicate with each other via Zoom instead of getting together in person. And so that was the first time I realized that what you focus on is how you feel. And so during the pandemic, I really leaned into my creativity, because that was a part of my life that always brought me joy. It always made me feel like I got out of bed on the right side of the bed. You know that expression about how you can sometimes just wake up and and everybody around you says, "Gosh, you just got out on the wrong side of the bed." I think that's an expression, if I'm remembering correctly. And I know that my morning routine helps me get the day off on the right foot, and then continue to help me navigate the rest of the day with the right attitude, with a positive attitude. And Shelly says that you definitely need help with planning a morning routine. And so we'll talk a little bit about what I use. And I do think it's so important to keep it really, really easy, because, there are only some things that we do repetitively in life that have become a habit since our mom taught us how to do these things, or our dad taught us how to do these things. And those things might be making your bed when you get up in the morning and brushing your teeth. And you want to, as a result, only maybe add one thing to what you do in the morning, because you have to do it repetitively in order for it to become almost like what you do after you brush your teeth. And so for me, I like to drink a glass of water, because I always wake up feeling a little bit dehydrated. And then I throw on my workout clothes and I go for a walk. And unless it's raining. And the good news is it doesn't rain very much in California, so I'm pretty much able to go for a walk almost every day. And when it does rain, it's kind of a nice little treat because I don't have to go for my walk. But I like to go for my walk because it gives me the exercise and it allows me to get out into the fresh air. And it also allows me to lean into the changing seasons. And even though I live in California, there are some changes that occur, especially in the springtime when trees start to bloom and different flowers start to bloom. And having an opportunity to just take a walk and really quietly and just look around me is a great way for me to start my day. And then when I come back, I get to reward myself with a delicious cup of coffee with a little bit of half and half. And I sit down at my kitchen table with my notebook and I do some little doodling, some little sketches, some little doodles. I might have taken a picture of a new flower or of a bush or maybe of some ferns during my walk. And I might use that picture that's on my phone as inspiration for my little drawings. And in the blog, I shared two resources with you that I really like. So I think that if I actually go over here to the blog, I can show you where these links are in case you want to use my they're highlighted in red right there in the blog. One of them is my Canson 7 by 10 inch mixed media note sketchbooks. They're a spiral bound sketchbook that you can open up and lie flat, and I'm left-handed. And so it's really important for me to not have the spiral binding in the wrong place because I'm left-handed. And then I also love these Molotov fine liners. There's a set of 11 of them, and that allows me to get a very different line weight in my doodles. And then when I bring it into Adobe Illustrator and I image trace those doodles, I get that different line weight, which creates more kind of interest and sort of sophistication in my work, in my repeating patterns. So I wanted to share those two resources with you. But that is it. That's basically my morning routine, right? So I get up, I have a glass of water, I throw on my workout clothes, which is basically just a t-shirt and some stretch pants. I go for my walk. I come back from my walk and I reward myself with a fabulous cup of coffee with half and half. And I sit down and I sketch for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And that's it. That is it. But it really, really helps me. And you are absolutely right. Hello, Denise. It's great to see you. And let me see. I want to say hi to Janaea. It's great to see you. And yes, you can say thank you to God for waking me up. Exactly, because you never know. Someday you might not wake up. So I love the fact that you shared that as well. That's a wonderful way to start your day. And there are magnolias blooming everywhere. Kathy, isn't that the truth? So in the childhood home that my parents lived in, there's a magnolia tree in the backyard. And I've done several broadcasts in the past from the backyard. I don't know if I was ever positioned so you could actually see it when it's blooming, but they always bloom between Valentine's Day and my mom's birthday. Valentine's Day, of course, is February 15th, and my mom's birthday is March 15th. And so it was always one of our favorite times to be in the backyard to see our beautiful magnolia blooming in the backyard. But they're blooming also all around my neighborhood here where I live. And so, yeah, it's fantastic to see them and to enjoy them and to see just how beautifully those sort of cups open. I love it. And yes, I am another lefty. I am another lefty. And the key thing when you all know if you are a lefty is that frequently you buy things and they don't quite work for you. Like scissors sometimes don't work that great, and certainly notebooks that have the binding in the wrong place don't work unless you turn them upside down. So that's why I like that Canson, those Canson mixed media sketchbooks. I also like them because 7 by 10 is smaller than 8.5 by 11. And so the piece of paper I'm staring at is slightly smaller, which for some reason just means it's a little less intimidating when I sit down to try to fill it with a couple of little doodles during my 10 minutes in the morning. So tell me in the comments if you have a morning ritual, or perhaps you have had one in the past. And from time to time, of course, we let these things lapse. And maybe this is a good time for you to revive it. In the blog, I mentioned several other several other sort of people in history and what their routines were. And sometimes it was a really hearty breakfast. Sometimes it was actually their cup of coffee. Sometimes it was them making sure that the light was going to be good for the painting they were going to do that day. But you can have one that is as simple or as complex as you want. I always encourage starting really simple because you want to be able to keep it up as much as possible. Now, the other thing I love to talk about, and that I've also done from time to time, but then frequently lapse and stop doing it, is morning pages. And morning pages are another way for you to start your day, where you take a journal and you just free form write whatever's in your mind over 3 pages to fill 3 pages. And this is not, I didn't make this exercise up. This is an exercise that has been out there for over 30 years that was started by Julia Cameron. And Julia Cameron wrote this incredible book called The Artist Way. She just, I think, had her 35th publication or 35th anniversary of this publication. And one of the things that she recommends for all of us as artists is she uses this expression, I think it's called, what did she call it? So her book is called The Artist Way, and there's a link to it in my blog if you want to either purchase it or get the audio book. But she talks about morning pages as your spiritual windshield wipers. You're wiping clean kind of what's in your mind before you start your day. And I absolutely love that. And I've done it in the past, and I sometimes go back to those notebooks to see, well, what was I thinking back then? And it's not intended to be sort of something that you would publish. It's really just intended to help you kind of get started in the day and kind of empty your mind of all of the thoughts that we have a tendency to carry around with us all the time, and especially in the morning. So I wanted to remind you, if you used to do them, you might want to try it again. You might want to try it again. I think that what I've also mentioned is starting small is really good, like one thing. And again, that could just be setting a timer for 10 minutes a day to do some artwork, right? To do some doodling, or to do some Zentangle, or to do some watercolor work, or to jump into Adobe Illustrator and play around with some of the motifs that you've imported in there. I do think it's important to pick a time of day that works for you. It helps me in the morning, but other people like to have a reset right around lunch, or some people like to have a reset in the mid-afternoon, like tea time. And others like to have a reset around their creativity or a ritual actually right after dinner, if they're more of a night owl or a night person. So thinking about what suits you best is important because it helps you do it more often. Just like you're going to brush your teeth in the morning, after lunch, and at night, if you're really good, or at least in the morning and at night. And then it also is very helpful to have a space. And so I just don't want to make it complicated. And so I know that I'm going to have my cup of coffee in the kitchen. And so I just sit at our little breakfast nook. And I don't come up here to my studio. I just do it in the kitchen. And that helps me kind of get grounded and also be able to get a refill on my coffee since this creative studio is up in my garage, which is up around behind the house. And that actually makes it be just really comfortable, very accessible, easy for me to do, nothing fancy. The two other things I wanted to mention are that if you get stuck around what you want to do, either the watercolor piece that you might want to start on or sketching or doodling, you can, as I mentioned, if you do take a lot of walks, go into your phone and see what you took a picture of and use that for inspiration. Or you can also find lots of art prompts. There are lots of people on Instagram and also on Facebook who publish prompts. They'll publish like 30 days of art prompts, and you can use those as inspiration. But you can create your own prompts. You can say, okay, maybe this week I'm just going to draw fruit. And so you probably have fruit in your kitchen, and you can look at your oranges and your lemons, and maybe you have some bananas, or you have other fruits and vegetables, and you can use those as your prompts. I did one series, oh gosh, this was several years ago, that was all bottles. It was the olive oil bottle. It was a wine bottle. I think it was a pitcher that was also sitting on the counter in the kitchen. It was a variety of different jars that were like the jam jar that was out because I had a piece of toast. So there are things around us that are very, very easy to use for inspiration, to prompt you on what do you want to draw today. And then it's also important to reflect and adapt. So if something's not working for you, or you're getting a little bit bored, you want to make sure that you switch things up, right? Switch things up and decide that maybe you want to actually take your watercolors out. If you don't do a lot of watercolor, you're normally sketching in black and white. Or maybe if you're sketching in black and white and you want to try out some of your colored pencils. And it's just fun to try different medium or media, right? A different medium to spark your interest and to get inspired again. And that helps also if you sort of feel like you're getting stuck in a rut. It's like, okay, try something different. Get those pastels out. Try something fun with your pastels. Okay. So who wants to share the routine that they have? So Kathy said tulip magnolias are your favorites. Yes. And I think those are the things that I'm seeing all the time that are very much in that tulip shape. That's so beautiful. And your mom was a lefty. That's fantastic. Oh, Judy, I'm so glad that you are starting the first week in immersion. Oh my gosh, it's just going to be incredible, right? Did you join a pod, or did you join like a mini subgroup? I decided not to, but you might already have one from when you've gone through it in the past. And then this is great. So Cynthia says, I herkle-durkle for 10 to 15 minutes. This is a time I assess my mood. You reset it if necessary, and then you review your goals for the day. You read a short inspirational quote or essay, and then you're off onto your day. I love that, Cynthia. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. So Kathy said that she used to get up and go for a neighborhood walk, and you've been moving, right? Haven't you like recently moved? And Kathy said that she just purchased the review bundle from Bonnie Christine. That's fantastic. Judy Hayes said she just finished The Artist Way last month. Isn't it a great book? It is a really, really great book. And Denise said you too. It's fantastic. And then Kathy said that I've been doing jigsaw puzzles of subjects that spark my creativity. Then I frame them in a color I pick for the border, and then I make a screenshot and keep them in a special place. That's lovely. That is lovely. So this is also fun that you go to Philoli for inspiration and reflection and photography. Yeah. And I agree. I totally agree that The Artist's Way is very, very inspiring. It's a wonderful, amazing book, and I go back to it often because it's very rich. And I have both a hard copy of it, but I also have the Audible book. And so it's really fun for me to actually listen to something that's very inspiring, and also thought-provoking, and soulful while I'm taking my walk. And I like to do that too. Ooh, this is wonderful. So Denise said that she lights a candle with a lime scent that you find calming and inspirational. That is a brilliant idea. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I actually have a ton of candles. I used to be a bit of a candle collector back in the day. And so actually in our dressing room area, I have sort of a shelf that has probably like 9 candles on it, and I need to start using them. I do. Many of them come from Paris because I like to sometimes just bring one thing back with me from when I travel to Paris every year. And so they have incredible scents. And that's a great idea. I have to do that. I'm going to start doing that starting tomorrow morning. I will add that, right? I will add that. And yes, if any of you want to go get the book, you can go to my blog, and then there's my Amazon link for you to go get it. All right, so this was lovely. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always lovely to see you. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I hope that you found this enjoyable and valuable. It's always fun to come and chat with me on Wednesdays, come rain or shine, unless I'm on an airplane. I'm here Wednesdays at noon. And you know, I always like to say in closing that I am Anne La Follette, and it's never too late to create. Bye for now, and I'll see you next week.